Parsha this week begins by talking about the most celebrated sacrifice, and that is the sacrifice of the Olah. Now, in the times of the temple, there were various different sacrifices that were offered. There was the Shlamim sacrifice, which was brought and consumed by everybody, the Israelites, the Kohanim alike. And then there was the Chatas offering, the sin offering, which only the Kohanim took part in. And then there was the Olah sacrifice, which was completely consumed on the altar. It was Kulo Hashem, all for God. This was the most celebrated, the most exalted sacrifice, and that's how the Torah begins the Parsha, by teaching us about the Olah. Zos Torah's Olah. This is the teaching of the Olah. And we're expected to hear something really sensational in terms of the spiritual experience of the Olah. However, mysteriously, that's not what we hear. We hear about the Kohen coming in the wee hours of the morning, what we call the graveyard shift, and him looking at the altar and seeing all the ashes on it from the previous night, and the Kohen start shoveling away those ashes and putting it on the side of the altar. And that is how the Torah describes the bringing of the Olah in this week's Parsha, which leaves us scratching our heads and trying to understand why out of the entire Olah process does the Torah focus on the Trumas Hadeshen, the scooping up of the ashes, when it says Zos Torah's Olah. This is the teaching of the Olah. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to the service of God, there's many different ways we can undertake a responsibility to meet that goal. It can be in the times of the temple by bringing a sacrifice, be it an animal or flower offering, or in our times, doing a mitzvah, coming to a shul, to say a prayer, a tefillah, to study some Torah. There are so many different possibilities that one can undertake to be engaged in the service of Hashem, the service of God. And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't really matter what someone is doing. It just matters how that person is doing it. What kind of attitude does the person have? How engaging is that person? And what is that person's kavanah, his person's intent as they're doing it? What we learn from the Trumas Hadeshen, from scooping of the ashes, is that it can even be something as simple as scooping the ashes from the altar. And yet if it was done with the proper attitude and intent, that is considered as sublime as the most exalted sacrifice. And that's what the Torah means. Zos Torah's Olah. That is the teaching of the Olah. Folks, I think the message is loud and clear for us. We have so many opportunities to be engaged in the service of God. Large ones, small ones. All we have to do is take one small thing and put our entire heart into it. Have the right attitude and give it our best. And that is the greatest possible sacrifice that we can bring. I think that's a wonderful lesson to emulate from this week's Parsha. Have a wonderful Shabbos.